We barely think about how money moves. A tap for coffee, an auto-renewing subscription, a quick impulse buy. It's the frictionless hum of daily life. Redirecting $100 a month from that daily hum changes the trajectory of your long-term security. It represents a small shift in spending that carries more mathematical weight than almost any other choice in a typical budget. Most people hear that and feel a sense of skepticism. If the math on wealth creation is this accessible, why does it feel so difficult to actually execute? The answer has nothing to do with low intelligence or poor discipline. We fail to save because human biology has a specific glitch in its programming. Psychologists call this glitch present bias. It is the invisible antagonist of your financial life. Through millions of years of evolution, our brains have been hardwired to heavily overvalue things we can get right now. A new pair of sneakers feels good right now. A meal out with friends feels good tonight. Look decades into the future at an abstract concept like a retirement account, and your brain barely registers it. The reward is too far away to feel real. The entire modern consumer ecosystem is designed to exploit this exact wiring. Advertisements and flashy sales and frictionless one-click checkouts constantly nudge us toward spending today. Trying to build wealth using sheer willpower means actively fighting against millions of years of survival instincts. It is a losing battle. To win that battle, we must step outside our own biology and rely on an external force, one that our brains are inherently blind to. That external force is known as compound growth. Let's set up a controlled test to see how it works. Meet Alex and Ben. They are both 25, living in the same city, with identical starting salaries, matching rent, and same student loans. There is only one difference in how they operate. Alex takes $100 a month and puts it into an investment account. Ben spends that same $100 on his lifestyle. This split screen shows what happens next. Alex's money goes into the market, generates a small percentage of growth, and that new total becomes the baseline for the following year. Ben's money gets spent, and the loop ends. The problem is, this mechanical process is deeply boring. The initial growth is so small that it's practically invisible. If we look at this line graph tracking Alex's wealth over the first 10 to 15 years, the trajectory is flat. It validates every instinct Ben has to just spend his money, because Alex is barely seeing any progress. But pull the timeline out to age 65, and the math finally overtakes human perception. That slow, boring start curves sharply upward into a runaway exponential trajectory. By retirement, Alex has put $48,000 of his own money into the account. The total value, however, sits at over $260,000. Over $200,000 is pure compound interest. Ben, meanwhile, sits at zero. Time acted as the primary multiplier in this scenario. By starting early, Alex allowed the math of compounding to do the heavy lifting that a higher salary alone rarely achieves. Check back in with these two at age 45. Ben is starting to feel a creeping anxiety. He's realizing the financial future he assumed would work itself out hasn't moved an inch. He starts scrambling to catch up, funneling larger chunks of his paycheck into savings. It helps, but he is fighting a brutally steep uphill battle. Alex isn't living in a mansion or flying private, but he has the luxury of options. He checks his accounts, sees 2 decades of quiet growth, and feels a level of security Ben doesn't have. Delay is the most expensive variable in this entire equation. Every year spent waiting effectively deletes the most productive growth years from the end of the cycle. Waiting is fatal. It starves compound growth of the one variable it desperately requires to function: decades of uninterrupted time. $100 a month is a reachable threshold for most people who honestly audit their spending. And if it's not, scale it down to 50 or even 25. The trick to making this work is to make the decision exactly once, and then heavily automate the process so the money moves completely behind the scenes. Automation is the behavioral hack. By rerouting the cash before it hits your account, you bypass present bias entirely. You never see the money, so you never need willpower. Making that single automated choice today moves your future off a path of biological impulse and onto a foundation supported by the compounding math we've just seen.